Good morning, everybody. Thank you for that kind introduction. And how do I follow the earlier talk with the ladies? I mean, really. So I'm probably going to bore you silly now because I'm going to be talking about benefits. I will warn you, I'm extremely relaxed and I won't be following the presentation. It will be me just waffling. Just to let you know, both myself and Talia are here until 3 o'clock. We will be taking a couple of the workshops out of the one straight after this and the one after lunch. So if you've got any further questions to do with benefits, transition, or what an ECHO actually does, then come and see us. Okay, thank you. So first of all, the slide with the agenda is a rough slide. I don't really follow them, to be honest. But we will be covering the main benefits such as PIP, universal credit, universal credit 15, the carers element, ESA, attendance allowance, DLA, direct payments, concessions, education and sport, and benefit support and questions. So the first benefit we're going to discuss is PIP, personal independence payment. This benefit is a non-means tested benefit. It is you can either complete it via online or by paper document, and it's for individuals that have got a disability, long-term health condition or mental health issues. I will say the form and the online version are very similar, and it's very long and laborious and very repetitive. I always suggest when you're doing a PIP application that you have some form of support in completing it, whether it's from the RNIB Benefits and Welfare Team, your local or one of your local charities, or obviously the Wolf Fund charity aiding you with it, because it's very repetitive, as I've just said, but it's very long-winded. It asks you the same question but in other ways to try and trick you a little bit, shall I say politely. So it is very long-winded. Now, to get the application form or do it online, you need to ring the DWP, the PIP helpline. They will then ask you a series of questions such as where you live, what the condition, what the disability is, your bank details sometimes. They will also ask for your national insurance number, and then they will ask you whether you want to complete the form online or by paper document. Now, when you're completing either version, they will only give you a certain period of time to complete it. It should be 1 month, but I have noticed recently that they've only given a 2-week time frame for you to complete it. So that's you completing the form and sending it back to them in time. Now, once you've got your form, if you do need to extend the time, say if you're getting additional support from a care provider or a family member or a charity that supports with benefits, you can actually ring the helpline again to get them to extend it. So I really strongly recommend that you get an extension. And if you were doing a form version, paper one, always make sure you're sending it prior, at least 2 or 3 days before the closing day. It's really important. Once you've finished this wonderful form, and if you're doing the paper document version, I would then photocopy it. So you've got it when you're having your assessment, and then when you're also got to renew your form, so you've got something to go on. So really important, photocopy it and use black ink. Okay? Once you've done this wonderful form, you will no doubt be called in for an assessment. Now, the assessments are usually provided through Capita, and the assessments are either done over the phone, virtually via Teams or Zoom, or you go to one of their assessment centres, or you can have it at home. If you are having it over the phone or any other way, either whether it's virtual, face-to-face, always ask for it to be recorded, because it's just covering the answers that you were giving. It's covering yourself a little bit. You will get that, oh, we haven't got any recording materials to do that, can we extend the day? Don't listen to it, just say, yes, you do have that, and we will want it recorded. And if you've got a charity supporting you, with you doing this, they will kick them off at the bottom as well. So once you're having your assessment, they will ask you exactly the same questions that are on the PIP form, but just in a different wording. Just make sure that the answers you provided on the PIP form is more or less exactly the same as what they're asking you face to face or over the phone or virtually. Now the assessments usually last about an hour. What I will say, and this is probably not very politically or DWP correct, if you're having a home assessment, they do tend to watch your home about half an hour before the assessment starts and half an hour afterwards. They will also video you if you're going to one of their assessment centres from the moment you park up or walk into the car park. Just a little heads up. So once you've had your assessment, the person from Capita will complete the form that they've got to do, the report. They will then send that over to the judging panel. Now the judging panel will look through the report and then make their decision. If they decide, yeah, all good, and you have scored between 10 and 12 on both the mobility and the daily living components of PIP, you will get the highest rate. Now at present, I think that's around £670 a month. Yeah, but it's approximately around that a month. In with the mobility, you can also have, if you've got the higher rate of mobility, you can also go into the Motability scheme, where you either, whatever car you like, you can put a deposit down for an all singing and all dancing one, or just have one of their standards cars. But the majority, I think it's about £250, £300 of your PIP benefit will be taken off you for paying for the Motability car. I've lost my train of thought now, sorry. Yeah, so the decision, so if it all goes through well, wonderful, and they may backdate it from when you first initially made the claim. Now, if they decide, no, you are not disabled enough, which is what they tend to do quite a few times, on the back of the letter that they send to you stating this, there is a contact number for reconsideration. So I would strongly recommend that you contact them, ask for reconsideration. It will then go back to panel again, and then after panel, they will come back to you and say, yes, you can have the PIP benefit, or no. If it's no again, I would strongly recommend that you get in touch with RNIB's Benefits and Welfare Team, Citizens Advice, or a local charity within your area to support you with a tribunal. Okay? I think that is it for PIP. Yeah, so the next benefit is universal credit. Now, universal credit is for those people that are on a low income, out of work, so unemployed for a while, or they cannot work. Now, universal credit is, it's been out for about 6-7 years now, and it's took over from all the prior benefits such as housing benefit, tax credits, child tax credits. It puts them all together, so you've just got one benefit. Okay. So the eligibility of that is at work including self-employed, unable to work because of health conditions or disability, and that you've been living in the UK for 3 years, I think it says on there, and age 18 or over. But there is some concessions with if you are 16 to 70, but you would have to go through your local DWP to see what those are in more detail. With universal credit, you have to be under pension age, so 67, depending on when you were born at the present. And the lovely one is you've got to have less than 16,000 in a bank or building society saving account. And the application is online, but you can phone the DWP helpline to get somebody to aid you in filling it in over the form. It's all online. It's a lot simpler than the PIP form, but it does have an element where it asks you about if you've got a disability. Now, if you decide to press, yeah, I've got a disability, it should automatically kick in the universal 50 element of it. It's sometimes works, sometimes doesn't, but that's what you need to discuss when you go into the job centre. Now, once you've completed your universal credit online application form, you will then get sent an appointment to see a job coach in your local job centre. And that is to prove your form of ID. So you would need to take in a birth certificate, passport, Bank and Building Society, but it's something as well with photo ID. Now, in that lovely little 10 minutes that you have with a job coach, who won't have a clue what disability is at all, you will be told that you've got to do work-related activities for 35 hours per week. You can negotiate that and be quite strong-headed about that. You know, you need to bring in, look, I've got a disability, there's no way on this work, I'm looking at a computer screen for 35 hours a week, it's going to cause more damage. But you can negotiate. In my previous life, before RNIB, I used to set up employment services for charities. So you can negotiate. I usually say 10 to 15 hours max a week with anybody with any form of disability. I'm disabled myself, but I don't think a normal person will want to be staring at a computer screen for 35 hours a week. But it does include those hours if you were volunteering. So say if you were volunteering 2 or 3 hours a week, you could knock that off the time that they want you to be working, get yourself ready for work. Does that make sense? Sorry, I did warn you, I do waffle. So if you are living with the partner and you're doing your universal credit claim, you do need to make a joint one, but you do have separate journals. Now, these journals are wonderful things. They're on your phone, you have to log into them via your email and a password, then they will then send you a text message to verify yourself, so then you've got to scroll and find that and then quickly put it in before the time lapse on it. So they're really accessible now. Once you've set up your journal, and your job coach should initially aid you with that when you go for that first meeting, you need to check on it daily or every other day to see if there's any tasks there that you need to complete. If you're not completing your tasks and you're not checking your journal, they will take the benefit off you. So they're really stringent on that. If the UC 50 element kicks in, you will have to go through an assessment which is very similar to PIP. If it hasn't, you need to inform your job coach when you go for that initial meeting, saying, I need to apply for UC 50, because that's the disability element of the benefit. So it's a little bit more money than what the average UC universal credit benefit is. The assessment is very similar to PIP. It's done by somebody from Capita. They will see if you're disabled enough, and then it will go back to panel and they will make the decision. Once that's all gone through, and it's all gone through brilliantly, it will take 3 payments for the UC 50 element to kick in. Okay? The next part of universal credit is if you are claiming universal credit and you're caring for somebody with a disability, health condition or mental health issues, you can claim the premium for that because you're caring for somebody, and you would need to inform your job coach of that. When you first go to the job coach, you need to get what they call a fit note from your doctor. So when you get your appointment through, you get a fit note from your doctor, give that to them, they will scan it, and once you've had the assessment to decide whether you are going in work-related or support group element of universal credit, the fit notes will stop. So if you go into the support group, which is after your assessment and getting the UC 50 element of the benefit, you don't have to give them any further fit notes. And to be fair, you won't really see anybody from the job centre again unless you want to. If you're in the work-related element of universal credit, they will want to see you usually fortnightly, and you will have to provide fit notes every month until you're in employment. Oh, that's universal credit, thank goodness. So next one is ESA, New Style, or Employment Support Allowance. If you are currently on ESA, I would recommend that you stay on that before they migrate you onto universal credit, because I've known some people either get a little bit more or a little bit less when they've transferred over onto universal credit. So if you want to, for less hassle, I would stay on ESA presently until it migrates over to universal credit. Now with ESA, you can still, New Style ESA, you can still claim for universal credit, but what they will do is they will take the ESA amount of money that you get from that out of the universal credit benefit. Does that make sense? It's quite long-winded. So ESA is an online application, or it can be a paper document, very similar to your PIP forms. You still need your national insurance number, your address, your date of birth. They will ask for GP details and possibly consultant's details and any information regarding your disability or your health condition, such as consultant's letters, your certificate of vision impairment, and those bits of information you will need for your PIP forms as well. So similar again, another assessment, don't really love these assessments, and then you've got somebody from Capita who will do all the notes, send it off to panel and say yes, you can have ESA, or no, you can't. And the same again with any benefit, if you're not happy with the decision, such as with your PIP or ESA, you can do a mandatory reconsideration, and they will take it back to panel. If it's refused again, you can take it to tribunal, but always get support with doing anything like that. I think I covered that. Yeah, I covered that bit. So next one we go on to attendance allowance. I'm not going to go into too much details here. Attendance allowance is for individuals that are of retirement age. It's very similar to PIP. You do application form very similar to PIP, but it is only for those that are of retirement age, and there is only a higher and a lower level of daily living, and there is no mobility element to that benefit. Now I know I'm running out of time because I waffle, so I'm going to try and get these through as quick as possible. Making a claim is exactly the same, assessment is exactly the same as your PIP and your ESA. Now the next benefit, which is DLA, Disability Living Allowance. Now this benefit is for family members and carers that have got a child that has got a health condition, disability, and they're not progressing as a, air quotes, normal child. They have difficulties walking. This benefit is from birth up until the age of 16, and when they come up to 16, they will need to apply for PIP. With this application form, it is even more long-winded than PIP. It is about 60 pages, and it is very repetitive, and it constantly asks, you know, if your child wakes up in the middle of the night, how long does it take to get them back off to the sleep? How many nights a week do you do this? What is the time of it? And that is for every sort of element of your child's daily life. So that could be eating, drinking, washing, dressing. They like specific timings and how many days a week they're like that. There's 3 components to that. So you've got lowest, middle and high. It's usually paid into your bank accounts monthly, whereas ESA is fortnightly. So claim is exactly the same as all the other ones. Now I'm going to quickly scoot onto direct payments. Now direct payments is completely different. This is through your local authority, and it's giving you the opportunity to pay for the care that you want. It hasn't got to go through your local authority social services team. You can pay for it. How it works is you would contact your local authority, they would do an assessment, then they would grant you a certain amount of money that you can use either monthly, and you decide how you use that. What I would suggest is that you keep all of your invoices so you can send them off back to your local authority and have the monies into a separate bank account than what your normal banking account is, especially if you're having a PA. So all invoices are kept separate to your normal bank account. So run through concessions. Concessions, there's two different types of concessions you can have. If you're sight impaired, you don't get as many concessions as if you are severely sight impaired. So severely sight impaired, you probably all know this anyway, you get your blue badge, you get your CEA card that aids you if you want to go to the cinema or to the theatre or to Alton Towers or what have you. You have got your bus pass, your travel pass, television licence, blind person's tax allowance, free postage. I can't think of everything else off the top of my head, but that's about it. So education and support. If your child is when your child is diagnosed with a condition, I would strongly recommend that your child gets an education healthcare plan. Now this, you can actually refer yourself or your GP or your consultant or any medical professional or anybody that supports your child, whether it be a teacher, a QTVI, which is Qualified Teaching and Visual Impairment, they can do the referral. This will aid your child all the way through education up until the age of 25. So when they're in nursery, infants, juniors, secondary, college and university. With colleges and universities, they do have specific areas of support. In a college it's called a learning support team, and in universities it's a disability office. I'm so sorry I'm running through this really quickly, but I am here all day. So you can get support. Now the QTVI and your ECHP will be reviewed yearly, and the QTVI will go in with that meeting with yourself. Sometimes your child's brought in just to see that all the support your child needs, they're getting. And this will run all the way through up until they are 25 years old. What I missed. So another charity that can aid with your education is Thomas Pocklington Trust. They can aid your child's education from the age of 11 and support with getting grants for university, supporting you with your disability student allowance. They can help with work once you finish your education. They can also support with getting you the correct support while you're actually in work, and also if you were doing work experiences, etc. But also the RNIB can aid with that. I'm going to quickly run through Access to Work. So Access to Work is a government funded grant that supports you whether you're going for a job interview, if you've got communication issues, such as if you need sign language or you need somebody to aid you in communicating. It will only help for communication support. But Access to Work will also help if you need, when you start your new job, any adaptations to your working environment, if you need any specialist equipment, and if you need a support worker. So I work at the QE and I have a support worker and it pays for that. It can also support with travel, so it will support with taxis, a travel buddy, or a support worker driver. Now with a support worker and a support worker driver and taxis, you will need to provide 3 quotes. To apply for Access to Work, you have to phone them up. You provide them with all your details again, plus where you're working, what your line manager is called and what your job role is. Then you will be assigned another job coach, usually about 2 weeks later, who will take more details. After that you will have a work-based assessment where somebody will come out from CAPTA again and see what equipment you need. They will then send a report off to both your line manager and to DWP Access to Work, who will then DWP will then authorise it and then inform your line manager to purchase the items that you require, and they will then get reimbursed the monies that they've ordered for the equipment that they've ordered, or if there needs adaptations around the workplace. I think that's it. I'm so sorry that last bit was rushed, but that's me done and dusted. But I'm here till 3. If you want more information, I can share the slides with you, and obviously come and grab me at lunchtime or come to one of the sessions we've got.
We've got 5 minutes now if anyone's got a quick question. Oh, hang on, I'm coming.
It's actually not a question, I just wanted to point something out in case it helps anybody else. We had to threaten our council with tribunal to get our son's healthcare plan. If people aren't aware, if you have legal cover on your home insurance, if you've got more than a 50% chance of winning, which you usually do because most councils lose, it's covered on your home insurance. We have a great Senko, and she told us that. And obviously, as soon as we threatened tribunal, they backed down.
Fantastic, I didn't know that. That's great. Anybody else got a quick question? Oh, Dawn.
So, what is home insurance?
Home insurance.
Home insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I just want to ask regarding the benefits. So the ESA and the direct payments, are they means tested?
Yes.
They are.
Yeah. PIP and attendance allowance are the only ones that aren't means tested.
Okay, brilliant. I think we're about on time. Oh, sorry, Marie. How could I?
With some of the families that I work with, filling in the forms, they don't provide enough evidence. So I know RNIB have a toolkit to give you prompts, but that's only if people are visually impaired. If they're multisensory impaired, is there a toolkit anywhere where you can get prompts and it helps to give, gives ideas to what to write and how to write it?
Come to Zoe.
Yeah, come to me. No, Citizens Advice or one of the local charities in the area. You may get support from Sense. They may be able to provide support with that as well. And you can actually go through DWP. They do have support with the applications, and they will come round to your house and help you do the application too.
Anyone else? No? Okay. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.